Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Making Myself. Thanks so much for listening. This episode is going to be super short. It's going to be about one specific concept. It's called the Pyrrhic victory. The Pyrrhic victory, that's Pyrrhic, which is kind of a funny name. It's a concept that it comes when the winning can come at hidden costs that completely shift the perspective of a victory, right? Like, so imagine that you win at the short term, but then on the long term, you will lose because the costs of winning kind of just don't compensate. Winning doesn't compensate for the cost that it costs the winning in itself. So we're going to put a few examples on this, and I think we can apply this mental model for the day-to-day life as well. All right, so this concept originally was generated by this character. It's Pyrrhus. Pyrrhus was a king from a region from Greece, and he defended his region against the Romans. And he won, actually. He had a series of victories against the Romans, but he then actually assessed his losses. And he said, like, I don't think the victories actually compensate for all the losses that we had, right? So, of course, in war, we need to kind of think about what's lost. And it always comes from a perspective as well. Because imagine, like, let me be a little bit dramatic here, but imagine like a son, if he or daughter, if she loses her family, regardless of the country winning the war, I don't think it's going to compensate for the losses, the personal losses, right? So that's a perfect example. Sometimes we need to think, okay, what's the cost of getting my objective and the victory? Because if it's too much and if it's too big, it might not be worth to fight for this. So we just need to be careful on those things. One good example, it's considering the nowadays is thinking about the exploitation of natural resources without considering the long-term environmental consequences, right? Like companies gaining significant economic benefits on the short term. And of course, that started like 100 years ago, right? And maybe we didn't know better, but it's been clear that it's been compromising the planet's health today. So it raises questions about the true sustainability, right, of the success. And that's one example that we could put as the Pyrrhus victory as well. Another clear example, maybe in business, it's about the reputation, right? Like in the business world, if we focus excessively on the short-term financial goals, it can lead to questionable ethical practices, right? Like if we lie and we try to get a quick buck, a company may achieve temporary profits, but then the losses of trust and reputation of the brand itself, it's going to be in the long term like irreparable, right? So it's going to be a really bad, the company is going to be in a really bad situation. And that's also, unfortunately, we tend to forget that stuff. And maybe it's the environment as well. Like we tend to get a lot of pressure from the environment to think about the short-term incentives, right? And the long term is going to be very, very costly. And we need to think about this when we make these decisions. A few more examples that we could use on our daily lives is regarding family and partners and whatnot. So in the realm of personal relationship, how many times we had like short-term victories, right? Imposing our opinion or trying to win a fight and during a discussion, and it may result of the loss of harmony and connection, right? In the long term. So sometimes this cost of having like these And of course, we all have egos. We all want to win on a fight, right? Like we want to have the reason and all that stuff. But sometimes it's for like tiny issues that just spiral out of control, and the cost of in quotes, right? Like winning that fight, it might be very costly on the long term. Another one that it's really interesting that it happens too often. It's when someone is so focused in their careers, right? Of course, we need to have ambition, but sometimes because of this ambition, we put long hours in our work and we want to progress in our careers, but then we kind of give for granted like family, and then we might lose it might end up in divorce, right, with our partners because we didn't pay too much attention. They might cheat as well because they don't feel this attention from the partner before communicating. So of course there's fault in both sides, but it started by focusing too much and putting a lot of costs in the career, which is not bad per se, but it comes with a cost. And we cannot give for granted like the people that is surrounding us. It might be family, it might be daughters, it might be sons, it might be your partner, it might be all of them, right? So that's something that we tend to fail, and from time to time, it's worth remembering that the concept of the Pyrrhic victory. If we remember that stuff, then we might win by not choosing which battles to pick. All right, so I said it was going to be a short episode. I'd love to have your feedback. Actually, hopefully, I made you think. It's a short episode. It's a kind of a interesting concept to think about. Despite being a short episode, you might have like some time to think about that stuff and how you can apply it to make better decisions and improve your situation, regardless of your context, because it can be applied to many different scenarios. But always glad to have your feedback. I don't know if you like longer episodes where I expose different models that can be used for a specific goal, or you want like individual mental models that can be applied to many different objectives. So the approach can be different. Your feedback is always very welcome. Thank you so much for listening, and hopefully I made you think a little bit. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Take care.